right.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Kentucky Sustainable Living, where we talk about homesteading and preparedness. I am Shelly, and we've got Jason on here. Y'all, we are super excited because we've got Bear from the internet. I don't know if you knew he was from the internet, but yeah.
You know, Bear from upstate New York makes all the good homesteaders really upset because most people don't realize that most of upstate New York is not concrete. Like we had like hay and cows and chickens and horses, and they're like, in New York?
Oh, I know. Yeah.
You can do that? It's like, yeah, we're on a fourth floor walk up. We just run the cattle up the stairwell every day, down the stairwell every day. No, we had a farm. It's a thing. So,
Yeah.
and then
my husband used to be a truck driver, and I would go on the road with him. And the first time that I went to New York with him, it was like somewhere on the west side of the state. And I'm looking out the window going, oh my God, this looks just like Kentucky. Like I thought there'd be skyscrapers everywhere.
If they could, pull their heads out of their butts when it comes to politics, I might still live there. But, between the taxation and the representation, I'd say, I haven't been back in 20 years and I like it that way. So I've lived and worked in 30 of the lower 48. And when people are like, where are you from? I don't know how much time you got. So now I'm from the internet.
There you go.
Hey, I've lived in the same 5-mile radius my whole life. I don't like it. So, like literally my parents, where I grew up, my parents are 5 miles down the road. Yeah. When I got married first time, I lived like 1.5 miles from my parents, and then where I live now is literally like 5 miles, if that, from my parents.
Wow. So it's like tight-knit community out there.
Yeah, I mean, my brother's less than 5 miles away, right by my parents' house, and I'm like, I like it that way.
That's crazy. It's more than 5 miles from where I'm sitting out to a paved road.
Yeah.
And I like it that way. When I was growing up, one of my dad's sayings was, I want to live so far back in the woods I got to pipe the sunshine in. And that just stuck. And so I, for whatever reason, I just adopted that. I always liked that. Kind of spoke to my soul. So it's important to have tight-knit community.
Yes,
and y'all have an upcoming event, KentuckySustainableLiving.com, where, and the reason I'm bringing this up is I hear from people all the time, like, you just don't understand, Pastor Bear. I can't find any good people. It's like, well, have you gone further than 5 miles from your house? Right? That's like step one, Jason. You might have to go further than 5 miles from your house to like find some good people. And then example, my 8-year-old has gotten really into fishing lately, which is awesome. So she's running up and down the creek banks. She's got her little fishing rod, and we're talking a lot about how do you bait the hook? What kind of lure do you need to have? And so if you want to catch this type of fish, we're going to use this kind of bait. Want to catch that type of fish, we're going to use that kind of bait. Different methods, right? Or like a hunter, hunting for deer is different than hunting for turkey. Although the 22 will handle both in an emergency. Ask me how I know. Point is, you got to have the appropriate bait. And so if you're looking for homesteading, preparedness, rugged, individualistic type people, you should probably go to where those people are. Yep. You might find one at church. You might find one at Home Depot. You might find one at the coffee shop or the office. But every single person is going to be that kind of person when you go to an event like Kentucky Sustainable Living, Midwestern Preparedness Project, the one that T. Toombs does, Mountain Readiness, Self-Reliance Festival, all these different meetups and fests. That's where you find your people, because you know that there's already a high degree of ideological alignment. And so I am shamelessly encouraging everybody in the audience to go to Kentucky Sustainable Living, because the barrier to entry is super low. It's not very expensive. And
$35 for all weekend.
$35 for the entire weekend.
Yep.
That's incredible. And so even if prices or the cost of the event is a constraint, typically $35, you can bring a family of four is $140. That's You can't go to McDonald's for $140 anymore.
Well,
And kids 17 and under get in free.
There you go. So it's $70 for a family of 4.
Yeah.
What are you going to say, Jason?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, the kids and under are free. I mean, you're looking at a little over $12 a day for the thing. You're gonna get for $35. Some of the workshops we've got. I mean, we've got everything from how to do sourdough bread to cast iron cooking to how to pick locks and get out of restraints. I mean, any one of those things is going to be over $35 for a workshop.
Heck yeah.
I mean, it's that, and then and what you're talking about, meeting people. Everybody's kind of pre-qualified. Why would you be at a homesteading and preparedness festival if you weren't into that? Unless you're fed, scoping everything. But yeah, I mean, everybody's kind of pre-qualified. So if you go up and talk to somebody about, hey, I've got 10,000 gallon water storage at my house, or hey, did you see the chemtrails that they're spraying when we were driving in? Nobody's going to look at you and be like, what the hell is this guy talking about?
Right. Now have that conversation at church. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, son, we will pray for you, Yeah.
And I promise you, when you come, even if you're not from Kentucky, you'll meet people that live within 20 miles of you. I go to Midwest Preparedness. I meet people from Kentucky. I go to Self-Reliance Festival. I meet people from Kentucky. I mean, I even went up to the festival in Ohio. There were people up there from Kentucky. It just blows my mind that, you'll meet somebody and they'll be like, oh, I live in such and such. And I'm like, that's 10 minutes from me.
So as a witness to that, it's funny because I think when people of faith do things, as long as it's righteous, the Father has his hand in it, right? And he orchestrates lots of these little miracles. We were on a grindstone deployment. We were 500 miles from home. And 2 guys there, both volunteers, had really unique last names. And it was the same unique last name. They get to talking. They're cousins. They hadn't seen each other in 30 years. And they live pretty close to each other 500 miles back this way.
That's hilarious.
But that happens all the time. We did a class in Ohio, and half the class all lived within 20 minutes of each other. And not necessarily there. I was like, if you guys don't, during lunchtime, form a mutual assistance group, you all suck. Like, that's exactly what I would be doing. So yeah, I agree with what Shelly's saying. Is you're going to find people from all over come to these things, but because people from all over come to these things, you'll find people from your area too. And if the goal is to find people to do life with, that can be accomplished there. If the goal is to grow skills to be a person of value as you're doing life with other people, that can definitely be accomplished there as well. I mean, William Bond, that young man is phenomenal.
Oh,
just the fact that William's going to be there, you get to breathe the same air as William. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, getting down, because the nice thing is the barrier to entry is $35. There's no VIP tickets, no nothing like that. And every other festival before, people have been walking around. The speakers, William's walking around, and William will take the time to talk to you. I mean, if I didn't know William personally, I'd pay $35 just to grab him for a few minutes and talk to him.
Absolutely.
100%.
So, Mrs. Wilson popped up and has a question. If they are sold out, can we still do your class? We are looking at going. I hope she's referring to the medical class that Refuge is putting on. I think that's what she's talking about.
Mrs. Wilson, if it's sold out, just contact the store. Just call Refuge. And do me a favor and do that tomorrow during business hours, so that there will be somebody there. There's always somebody who will answer the phone. But what I mean is somebody will answer the phone and say, hey, boss, did you tell Mrs. Wilson from the internet that we were going to go ahead and add a couple of seats? And I'm going to say, yep, I did. So, and the reason that that's important is we're not really built for walk-ons, because we're bringing trainer kits as well. And so part of the cost of the class is the trainer kit that's going to come with it. And I want to make sure that everybody who's coming has the trainer kit available to them to be able to participate. And on the website, it says bleeding prevention class. And that's the M in the March algorithm. I decided about a month ago, I'm not teaching just bleeding prevention. We'll definitely teach bleeding prevention, but I'm going to teach the entirety of our Responder 1 presentation, the S-March E algorithm. So it's scene safety, scene size up, massive bleeding, airway, respiratory management, circulation, head injury, hypothermia, expose, evaluate, elevate, evacuate, all of that whole block of instruction, which is typically about 2.5 times the cost of the class at Kentucky Sustainable Living. So in light of that, I definitely want you to have a trainer kit while I'm teaching that. And so call the store tomorrow. Just go to refugemedical.com, hit the contact us button. The first thing that pops up is our phone number, because we're real people with no phone tree. It's just a human answers the phone. And you'll say words to the effect of, Bear said last night that I could get in on this class. And then my staff will say, hey, boss, did you say that? And I'll say, yep. And then they'll make it available to you.
Yeah. And then, yeah, also, guys, if you buy a ticket to the festival in the month of June, you're registered to win a class. We've got one class that we're going to give away. So anybody that purchases tickets this month in June, you're registered to win a spot in that class. So,
and something you had said, Jason, that I was unaware of, which is super cool, is, correct me if I'm wrong, but if somebody has bought the bleeding prevention class, they also get access to the festival. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's beautiful.
They just need to stop at the front desk and pick up their lanyard. But it'll just be for the person who bought the ticket for the class. So if they want to bring others with them, they'll have to purchase tickets. But we wanted to include that in the class. That's
cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to KentuckySustainableLiving.com right now.
And if they want to sign up for your class, there's the red banner right at the top that takes you straight to Refuge's website.
Refuge. Those guys are crazy. I don't know about those people.
Yeah.
There it is. I think it'd be cool if we had if there's people in the chat that have like homesteading or business questions as well, we could tackle some of those.
Yeah.
Festival. Bowling Green, Kentucky. Hey man, how come you guys keep getting almost destroyed by tornadoes? What's up with that?
We're trying.
I don't know. Maybe they're trying to like seed the clouds and take us out. I don't know. I mean, I don't know that we have lithium like North Carolina or whatever it is they have over there, but they're wanting something, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's coal. Is there like a thing about coal now? I don't know.
I don't know. William called me, and I was talking to him the other day after the London tornado, and he goes, "Do y'all have a bunch of lithium in Kentucky or what?" And I was like, "William, I don't know, buddy." I was like, "We might. It just depends."
We got tons of limestone and cave systems, but I don't know.
They're after the bourbon.
That's what it is. It's the bourbon.
There's better ways to get bourbon than X-Rad radar and barium and aluminum.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, because we're semi-professional tornado enthusiasts with everything we do at Grindstone, and I keep watching the radar, and I keep seeing Bowling Green come up, and for the 6-ish years that we've been pretty hot and heavy on tornadoes, I don't remember that area being one that is prone to tornadoes. Is that weird? Is that new?
It kind of is. I looked at a historical map that was. And it, Oklahoma and where you're at was Tornado Alley, and it was the number of tornadoes that were in the original Tornado Alley and then moving to Kentucky and Tennessee. And it's like, holy crap, the thing has moved. And I don't I don't know if it's quote man-made climate change or NextRad radar and the chemtrails, or if it's just, actual environmental stuff moving, because the climate does change, not man-made climate change, but the earth goes through cycles, and I don't know if it's going through a cycle like that or not.
Yeah, the upper atmosphere, the patterns of the upper atmosphere, this, by the way, is the hand and arm signal for patterns of the upper atmosphere for anybody who's unaware, right? It has moved. There's a word for it, and I can't remember what the heck it's called. because whatever. I was telling Jason and Shelly before we hopped on here, I've been up since 3:30 in the morning because the baby decided it was time to be awake. And so I was awake. The good news is I wrote 6 pages of my book in between 3:30 in the morning and 6 a.m. So that was cool. But the bad news is now I'm fuzzy in the brain. So you've got Dr. Trevor coming to the festival as well.
Yes.
And I will tell for everybody who's listening, unashamed plug, the cost of admission is more than covered by the knowledge just Dr. Trevor has. Scrolling here, looking through the presenters, to say nothing of all the other awesome speakers. But Dr. Trevor is literally the only person on planet Earth that has the stack of credentials that he has. He's literally one of one in 8.5 billion people. And I will always be a huge proponent of Dr. Trevor because he helped me when I thought that putting a Glock in my mouth was a really good idea. That's it. This is just what we do. There's no other options. And if I've ever done anything on the internet or in person that you've gotten value from, you should thank Dr. Trevor, because I wouldn't be here without that brother. And he is, most men are like, I'm not going to therapy. Men don't go to therapy. And it's like, yeah, until you blow your brains out, right? You should probably go to therapy. You should go talk to somebody. And so he's a man's man. If you just look at his picture on the website, like, that guy is jacked and tatted and, he's got the big beard. He's not your typical therapist. And the talks that he gives, he's spoken at the Refuge Ruckus. He's spoken at our men's retreat. He's spoken at a bunch of different events that we've done. And they're more than worth the price of admission alone. So, and especially for, our public service people and our veterans and even active service that are out there, they keep trying to shove stuff down in the box and make it go away. At some point, the lid to the box pops open, and it can be catastrophic when it does. And so even if you think you have it under control, whatever it is, if you're aware of the fact that there's an it, you need to hear what Dr. Trevor has to say. So again, shameless plug. Love that guy.
And I met Dr. Trevor when we were in Tennessee after Hurricane Helene. I met him and I was like, dude, you're cool. I got to sit down with him for a few minutes and everything. And I was like, I got to thinking, I was like, what can we do for speakers? So I hit Dr. Trevor up and he was like, yes, I will be there. And it was funny. He was like, TJ's got to come to me this time. So he's like a couple hours away. And we joked about that. I was like, tell him that he's got to come your way this time.
Well, that's good because he's great at brain stuff, but he sucks at backing up a camper trailer, and he still owes me a mailbox. So,
jeez. So somebody in the comments, Bryce, he wants to know if you ever got a magazine base pad in the mail.
Yes, Bryce, I did.
Awesome. Thank
you. I don't know where it is, Truth in Advertising, but I did see it. It was cool. It looked like it was CNC'd, had the Bear logo on the bottom of it. It's somewhere, brother. Thank you. Thank you.
So, Artist Rage, we do have more room for vendors. Jason, this is mobile outdoor laser tag.
That sounds fun.
Right?
Send Shelly or I an email and we can get with you on that. And
if you go to KentuckySustainableLiving.com and click the vendor button at the top, it'll bring you to the form that you fill out and we'll get in contact with you.
I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and the outdoor, the second best thing about our festival, besides Saturday night for the charity event, is we're all inside air conditioned. So it's going to be 70 degrees inside. The only thing that's going to be outside are the food trucks and then the cast iron cooking and biochar. Everything else is housed inside, rain or shine, 70-degree temperature.
Look at Catherine K there. I was able to go to KSL last spring. I would have paid 3 times the cost for all the info I received. Such a great weekend. That's awesome.
Yay.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Catherine.
Whatever we're paying Catherine, we got to double it. That was a great plug.
Shout out to Men's Health Month. Stay strong, homies.
Oh, that's Beartron. He is our homie. Beartron's awesome.
Iridium Group's in here. I hadn't talked in a long time.
Oh, man.
We need to get the Canadian down here sometime.
Hey, the Canadian's going to be here for our wilderness responder class. So it sounds like you need to come to me because me and Ed are going to be teaching medicine in the woods for 3 days. It's going to be a blast.
I'm really thinking about doing it.
Yeah. It's
Okay,
a cool class.
I have a really goofy question that I know people are going to be like, what? But I don't know what it means, and I want to know. So now that I have you on here, what does 5x5 mean? Because I don't have a clue. I see that on other people's stuff, and I'm like, what are they even talking about?
So 5x5, www.google.com, 5x5, meaning it's a signals quality thing. According to the robots at Google, 5x5 most commonly means loud and clear or perfect reception in radio communication, particularly in contexts like aviation and military use. It's a way of assessing the strength and readability of a radio signal, with 5 being the highest rating for both. In other contexts, it can mean I understand you perfectly or everything is fine. So on my channel, 5x5 was adopted as nomenclature because I'm not great at producing content. There's a lot of info in my brain, and I can talk till your ears fall off. But the production side of things, that's not my gifting. In fact, that's part of why like Dudley does what Dudley does with and for everybody who's like, I want to build a YouTube channel, but I don't know where to start. I started with an iPhone. I still do most of what I do with an iPhone. That's it. It's just if you're doing short form stuff, you put it vertically in portrait mode. If you're doing long form stuff, you just turn it sideways. That's it. And then you talk to it. And you're going to be like, I suck at this. I'm so bad. Yep. Yeah, you are bad. You do suck at it. You know how you get better? Do it 100 times.
Keep doing it. Yep.
It's going to take 100 reps until you don't suck anymore. And so me being me, I was like, well, if I make 3 pieces of content a day, I will be less bad in 1 month. I'll just get it out of the way. And so, but my skill set and my patience is not in production quality. And so there were many live streams where I would log on to YouTube and I'd get the live stream up and running. I'd hit all the buttons to make it do its thing. And I get on there and I'm just flapping my gums. And everybody's like, no audio, can't hear you. And then I want to start throwing things across the room. And so I've gotten to the point now, if you've noticed, I'll start just by drumming on the table until somebody says 5x5. That means they can hear me. And then I'll just go ahead and start speaking. If I'm drumming on the table and nobody says anything, okay, I have an issue. I'll go ahead and fix it on my end. So that's what that means.
Awesome. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's going to take more than 100. I've got 288 videos, I think, and I still suck at it. It's just like, because my brain works. Like I have to make notes because I can talk about something. And the first thing that comes to mind is like processing a lamb. I'll start. I'm like, you have to dispatch the lamb, but then I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to cut lamb chops, and it's like, hell, we hadn't even gutted or skinned the thing, and I'm bouncing back and forth. So I have to do the layout to stay on task.
So when I first started, I'm not a real big sentimental guy, but some things have like special meaning, And I have this stack of index cards. It's probably about 3 inches thick, and with a rubber band around them, and they're all my notes from my earliest videos. And what I would do when I started, because I was overly concerned about how I presented on camera. So I would take a 3x5 index card, and at the top line, I would write the header, whatever the subject was. And then each line was just a point that I wanted to make in the video. And what I discovered was 3 to 5 points in a video. That's what most people can keep up with. That keeps me on task. I don't end up talking for a half an hour about nothing. 3 to 5 points. And for a 3x5 index card for me, I can keep it cupped inside of my hand to where the audience doesn't see it. So I'm just talking, I'm just doing my thing, and I've got an index card right here with all my notes on it. And so now,
giving all your trade secrets away, man.
hey man, there's somebody out there. And well, the reason I'm doing this is because there's somebody out there, at least one person out there who's listening. And I always want to provide value to people, right? There's at least one person out there who's listening right now who has had a conviction that they need to start making content. They need to tell their story. They need to they need to teach. They need to share the information that they have, but they're just uncomfortable doing it because they don't like the sound of their own voice. They don't like the way they look. Cool, me too. I hate the sound of my own voice. I'm not happy with the way that I look. Doesn't matter, okay? The message is more important than how I feel about me. And so I'm giving you a tactic here that worked for me, was write it on a 3x5 index card. And then if you feel the need to palm the index card, you can, and nobody else knows that it's there. Or you just hold the index card, stick it in your shirt pocket, and you're like, okay, guys, today we're talking about how to butcher a lamb. Well, the first thing we want to do is we want to dispatch the lamb. And I used this method to do that. Next, we're going to talk about skinning and gutting. And it keeps you on task. You know what I mean? So I totally get it, Jason. I still, to this day, I probably should use index cards because I love the rabbit holes, man.
Oh yeah. Now, what I did, or one thing I'll tell you about it, Shelly and I met. Shelly already had her YouTube channel, and I'm like, Shelly, I want to start a YouTube channel. So Shelly came down. I made her do my first video with me for YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, I don't really know what to do. So her daughter's recording all of it on an iPhone. We went down some rabbit holes, and Shelly's like, I'm going to have to edit some of this stuff out because I started talking about some personal stuff, and I'm like, she's still recording. And she's like, don't worry, I'll take all that stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's one thing. Find somebody that has a YouTube channel. Be like, hey, will you come? Yeah, will you come be in my first video so I don't feel? I still feel stupid sitting here talking to an iPhone or an iPad. It's like,
well, so first of all, Jennifer Lowe, Evan from Radio Made Easy said my first video looked like I filmed it using a potato in a cave in Afghanistan. That's phenomenal.
I love that.
I get that. And then one of the things, talking to a screen, I had a period of probably about a year where actually I've had a couple of periods of about a year each where I was really disheartened with the mechanism of YouTube. And don't let what I'm about to say discourage you from making content, because the best time as a content creator is when you're little. You get away with so much stuff. You can say whatever the heck you want to say. There's very little pressure, and then as the channel grows, it's almost like the expectation grows as well. Like if there's 200,000 people here, I should conduct myself as if 200,000 people are going to get value out of the words that I have to say. And so it's like there's this increase in pressure, right? But I've had these periods where I would resent the mechanism of YouTube. And what got me through that was meeting people in real life. They'd come up to me with a Bear Independent shirt on and they'd tell me a story about how a particular piece of content changed their life. And they're like, I can't thank you enough, Bear. And I'm like, dude, I'm a normal guy from Oklahoma. Leave me alone. Like, it's not me. It's the Father doing that. And they're like, but I've got to thank you. I've just got to look you in the eye, shake your hand and say thank you. And I've had, at first it was one or two of those experiences, and then a dozen and a few dozen. And now, praise the Father, I've had hundreds of those experiences.
Yeah.
And that's what I remember when I don't want to talk at the camera, is I'm not talking at the camera. I'm not talking at the camera. I'm talking to the real people on the other side of the camera. Yeah. And it's not about the mechanism of YouTube that I have feelings about. It's about the real people on the other side of the camera that I need to be serving with the knowledge and experience that the Father has blessed me to have, so that I can pour into their life so that they don't make the same mistakes that I've made. If I can help them be a little bit better based upon my own hardship, everybody wins. And so if you approach it from an attitude of service, to your fellow human being, and remember that there's real people. Like there are people whose faces I see in my head that I use to calibrate my approach to the camera because I know them.
Yeah.
I have prayed with them. I have been honored to baptize them. You know, we've shared meals together. We've shared burdens with one another. That's like, those are the people that I'm talking to. It's not the camera and it's not the platform. It's the people on the other side of those things.
Yeah. That
When we started our channel, William is actually the one that encouraged us to start our channel. And I have met so many amazing people through doing YouTube and through that going to festivals and all that kind of thing. But when we started our channel, I wanted it to be, you know, my husband and I bought our farm, 4 years ago, I guess. And I wanted it to be a place where I could record the things that we did and, you know, like why we put this food forest here or what, you know, when we did this or why we were planting these plants or whatever, all the education that I was learning about all of this stuff. I wanted to record that someplace. So then at some point, my kids or my grandkids, when they come along behind us, they'll know why we did these things and all of that. So when, you know, like sometimes I'm sure, you know, people can be super ugly, super hateful, ridiculously, you know, they sit there behind the screen and think that they're anonymous and they can say the ugliest stuff or whatever. And when that happens, I'm just like, it doesn't matter. I didn't make that video for you. You know, I mean, that's like the thought in my head. That's what I come back to. And I just put out whatever content I want to put out because I know who my audience is. And if other people join in, that's great. I mean, if they learn something, that's great. But it just kind of, it keeps that kind of grounded for me. So I don't get tore up because I don't know, I guess people get really tore up about hate stuff on there or whatever. But, you know, I'm just like, I didn't make it for you. So it's cool. Whatever.
That's real though. That happens. You know, there's if you start making content, there's an app called the YouTube Studio app that you can have on your phone, and it'll aggregate all your comments and your views on videos and all that. Where it's kind of like it's an interface. It's like a dashboard where you can see what's going on with your channel. And if you just scroll through there, it's just a matter of time before you hit, you know, Johnny Pants 316 in the chat. It's like, Bear, you suck so much and you're such a piece of trash. And who do you think you are? And if that comment catches you at the right time, when you already think that you suck, for whatever reason, it carries a lot of weight.
Yeah.
You know, and there might be 100 positive comments, but it's that one negative comment. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm in existential crisis mode because some anonymous a-hole on the internet decided that he didn't like me today. And so what I started doing years ago was, if I'm reading a comment, the moment I start to feel about it, I don't even keep reading it. I just block, ban, delete. Yeah. And then you'll get people who say, well, what about freedom of speech? Yeah, you have freedom of speech. You absolutely do. I just don't have to tolerate your shenanigans on my channel. You can go be a jerk somewhere else. You know, freedom of speech is a thing, but you can't scream fire in a crowded theater, right?
Right.
And so there's something to the negative comments, and the idea is just don't let them affect you. And that's harder to do than it is to say. But the way my brain works is I try and aggregate it as data points. I got 100 people who are pleased with the product that I've produced, and I got one person who's not. Okay. That's a 99% approval rating. Yeah. Congress doesn't have a 99% approval rating. The president doesn't. Like, I got a 99% approval rating. That's pretty cool. That's cool. Oh, so, and if you weed those jerks out, which I do actively every day, at some point you'll end up with an audience that really is your audience. They really are bought in on you, and they love you, and that helps mitigate that performance anxiety and imposter syndrome that a lot of people don't don't talk about. They don't even know what the label is. They're like, who am I to talk about these things?
Right.
I'm no one. Yep, you are no one, but you're also someone. You're someone who's lived a life and who's had experiences and wants to share those with other people. So you are qualified to speak on a thing. And so if you get rid of the jerks, you have less negative feedback coming back over and over and over again. Not that you want to be a people pleaser, but the audience that you're left with are people who are truly bought into what you have going on. And that increases how enjoyable it is to produce the content.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, Major Norwood, here, let me handle this. The class at our festival is not sold out yet, but if you call in the morning, tell them Jason said to put some extra seats in. And then I'll look over at TJ and be like, can Jason do that? And he's like, yeah, I guess for this one time.
What's this? Let me get on my existential crisis rectangle here. And hey, I'm live with Jason and Shelly at Kentucky Sustainably Living. We need to add 10 more seats to the class at KSL, please. Folks,
There you go.
we'll be calling the store tomorrow to transact. Okay. Sometimes it pays to be the boss. There we go.
All right.
Handled.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, let's talk. What if we run over the biggest thing that I got excited about the last couple of days, the charity event, and then we can do like a quick Q&A. Does that sound good?
Sure.
All right. Saturday night at around 5:30ish, right after the festival ends, we're having a charity auction for Kaleb House, which I would say maybe one person out of here doesn't know what Kaleb House is. I don't think we need to spend time on that, but we're doing that. It is open to the public. Whoever wants to come, even if you didn't buy a ticket to the festival, you are welcome to come. We're going to have a food truck there doing teriyaki and sushi, one of the best teriyaki places in Bowling Green. He's going to be there. We've got a charity auctioneer that is donating his time to do this. And I want that the auditorium where we have it at will seat 325 people. So if we can get standing room only, I will be super excited about that. I talked to the charity auction guy, got some great ideas. I was honestly, I won't lie, I was nervous about this event, on having enough stuff to auction off and making it a worthwhile event. After I talked to him, I called Andrew from Combat Art Training, which Andrew lives in Florida. He does a lot of firearms classes. I called him. I was like, hey, can you donate a class? And he goes, heck yeah. He said, I'm doing one in Kentucky after the festival. He's donating a class for that and then donating another 2-day class for us to auction off. He said, I'll make a couple phone calls. And he said, I'll see what I can do. I'm like, that's awesome. Like 30 minutes later, I had another guy text me. He was like, I've got a pistol or a rifle class that I'm going to donate a spot in. Kayla from Tactical Response down in Camden, she texted me and she's like, Jason, give me a call. I want to talk to you. She donated their I think it's their live action medical class that they do. She donated that and fighting pistol class. So we've got that. Leslie from Leslie, she is our herbal girl. It's a School of Earth and All. She's doing a private herbal class for like 8 people. And then she's also doing a health consultation. We've got Evan from Radio Made Easy. I talked to Evan. He's like, I will donate any class that I'm doing on my own that somebody wants to come to. Auction spot and that. The other cool thing is with these tactical firearm classes that we're doing, we're getting chest rigs kitted out. You're going to have you're going to have a radio with it. You're going to have empty magazines and IFAK and hopefully a knife with it. I'm working on the knives right now. So when you buy this you know, if you buy a fighting pistol, you're going to get a chest rig kitted out, ready to go with that. And I'm just super excited. God took it after that meeting, and I'm like, man, God took this thing over. I was like, I am so stinking excited about it. Like I was waiting to call Shelly. I was like, she gets off at 4:00. I was like, I'm gonna call her at 4:01 and tell her. So, I'm just that was a surprise. I asked if you wanted to hear live.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You know, it's really encouraging to me. The work that Kaleb House does is incredibly taxing.
I bet.
We just had somebody that we love dearly who was like, "Hey, love you guys. I gotta hang it up." I was like, "I get it. You can only come face to face with this every day for so long before it starts to eat you up too, especially when you have your own kids. It's a challenge. We'll just say that, right? But it's the right thing to do. And I could sit here and complain all night about why the people who have the budget and have the jurisdiction aren't doing these things. But it won't change the fact that they're not doing these things. And somebody's got to. And it's just really encouraging to me that good people like y'all and that just good people all over the country are like, hey, man, I don't have tons of money, but I got a little bit, or I can do something. And that it goes back to the importance of community. If everybody does a little bit, it gets done. Whatever the thing is, it gets done. And there are real, tangible lives that have been changed because of Kaleb House, lives that are in the process of being changed. It's not just the buildings. It's not just building a restoration facility. The buildings they're nice, but it's the work that happens with the people inside of the buildings that really matters. You know, the building is just to facilitate for that. And so it's really humbling. And I thank you for what you guys are doing, because this has never been something that we have done alone. From the day we started, it's always been essentially crowdfunded by just good, honest, hardworking American people. And the Father has had his hand all over it, because we've always gotten what we needed when we needed it. It wasn't always what we wanted or when we wanted it, but it's not about us. It's about the Father and putting his kiddos back together again. And it's just been, it's awesome in the most tragically beautiful way possible, if that even begins to make sense.
Yeah.
I hate the fact that we have to do this.
Yeah.
The only thing that I hate more than that is the idea of no one doing it. And so it's just, you know, it's got to get done. And I'm the kind of person where it's like, if you look at your to-do list, it's like, what's the worst thing on this list? I'm doing that first. And then it's easy street from there, right? Yeah. And the problems that Kaleb House solves are the worst thing on my list. They're the worst thing on any list. And so I know that our field teams and our construction staff and our white collar staff, they feel y'all. Like, I've heard from so many people on our teams who's like, I can feel it when people are praying for us. I can feel it when people are pouring into us, because on our end, it manifests as miraculous provision and blessing, because that's what it is, right? And so, I don't know. Thank you is just not adequate, but thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And it's something near and dear. Shelly and I have talked about it a bunch, and it's like, if we could stop one thing and help one thing, you know, that's what we want to do. And honestly, everything that we're putting in at the auction is 100%. So, you know, if we sell an experience for $1,000, it's $1,000 is coming to you. We already have the facility that night, so there's no extra cost in it. You know, she's like, you get it all night. She's like, I don't care. She's like, just call me when you leave. And she comes back, box up. So there's no cost whatsoever for us to put this. Well, I think we have to buy some bid cards, but that's like $50. And I'm going to chip in and buy the bid cards for it. So
thank you. I also want to just point out, when you say it's coming to me, it goes to the organization, which is a 501c3, and our books or 990s are on the website. So anybody's free to check our math. Kaleb House, for me, has always had a one-way valve, meaning money flows into it. Money does not flow back out of it for me. It's always been a labor of love. There's not a person on the board that is compensated to be part of the board. We're largely volunteer labor, and I don't have a yacht or a helicopter, and you know, we're not doing that kind of thing. What's that?
I said, come on, Joel.
I guess if I prayed hard enough, I could get a Lambo. But you know, we were contacted by a guy, and he's a great brother who has kind of had a conviction to get involved in this counter trafficking space as well. He's in a different part of the country, and he put together a summit, if you will, to kind of brainstorm session, get, you know, stakeholders in the room and the whole nine. And he asked if we wanted to participate, and I looked at the dates and I said, hey man, all due respect, and no, we can't participate. And, you know, because the offer was like, well, maybe you could come, you could talk for an hour about what you've got going on. And, you know, I said, look, man, we don't have the time to come. And if I did come, there's nothing I can tell you about what we have going on. And so the inverse of that is also true. Why are there people in the counter trafficking space that have the time to go to events like this and have all these stories that they can tell? Because I can tell you, as someone who's doing it, there's not a thing I can tell you, not operationally. I can't even give you, you know, a state. Yep, we're in this state doing this thing. Can't even do that, because that could compromise operations in the field. And so it's unfortunate, but 90% of all the funds in the counter trafficking space are spent on air quote awareness. It's only 10% that's spent on operations. And a lot of these awareness people are grifters, and they're grifters that are trading on the backs of children who have been serially abused and exploited so that they can line their own pockets. And my God has something really special for them at the end of an age because of that. Yeah. And in the meanwhile, we don't have anything to do with those people. So, yeah, it's challenging, because as an organization that is actually doing things, it's a very challenging space to navigate, because there's tons of people in the space that talk about doing stuff, whether that's 501c3, private organizations, or federal agencies, state agencies, that everybody talks a big game, and they'll have these giant summits where everybody comes together and we're all going to get on the same page about counter trafficking. And it's like, we don't need any more of that. We don't need to build good rapport, because if there's somebody who thinks that what we're doing is bad, they are de facto a bad person. Yeah. I don't need public perception. Public perception doesn't help me at all. Like, in fact, it's weird, because I'm the face of what we're doing, which is cool. But there's people inside the organization whose faces you will never see, because they can't, because they're operational this very moment, and people can't know that they're in any way associated with what we have going on. And so, and the stories of what they're doing, maybe 20 years from now, maybe we could talk about it. But in the meanwhile, these children who have been rescued, they have a right. They have they deserve the honor and respect of having a little bit of privacy too. They've gone through the most crazy thing that's ever going to happen to them in their life. And the last thing I'm going to do is, like Sarah McLachlan, parade them across the TV. And for only $10 a month, you can support one of these kids, you know? Sorry, on a diatribe. I apologize.
You're fine.
No, you're
burns me up.
Right. Yes.
TJ, one of the biggest things that I see the difference in your organization and everybody else is, y'all are actually doing the rehabilitation with these children. Most of the time, am I right or wrong that most of the time they'll pick the kids up, get them in custody, and then they take them back to what is it, Child Protective Services or the foster system, and it's kind of like rinse and repeat kind of
Correct.
thing.
Correct.
Yeah, they just put them back in danger.
There's a 78% likelihood that a child who has been trafficked once will be trafficked twice or more.
Yeah.
So we got an 8 in 10 chance after we spend all the time, all the resources, take all the risk to rescue that kid. If we put them back into the system, we got an 8 in 10 chance they're going to be trafficked again.
Yeah.
And that's because the system's broken. And so the goal with Kaleb House is to break these generational curses for the child, because bad things have happened to this kid. And they have learned patterns of behavior that will not serve them. And if, in its most basic terms, hurt people hurt people. And so if we don't unbreak these kids, it's a statistical likelihood that when they are older, they could also hurt people. And then we have to go target these kids as the bad guys because something terrible has happened to them. And this is, I've spent a lot of time and prayer and thought on this. Somebody hurt these kids. Well, somebody hurt the person who hurt these kids. Somebody hurt the person who hurt the person who hurt these kids. So how far back does it go? At some point, we end up at the original fall of man. We end up in the garden with a piece of fruit with a bite out of it. If it goes far enough back, that's where we end up. But there is an age of accountability, and this is something we've had to parse out as well. If you are knowingly doing harm to another person, you're exploiting them, which is de facto trafficking. So once you cross that line of knowingly doing something that is wrong, now we cannot be friends. But when you've got a 6-year-old that doesn't even understand what has happened to them, we have an opportunity to change the pattern of behavior for this kid.
Right.
And that's what Kaleb House does. And so we have these homes that we've built and are building more of. And these kids come into these homes. And because it's privately funded, I don't have to, like, for example, I will never provide gender affirming care. If Bobby decides that he is Susie today, we're going to have a conversation, not schedule a surgery. Okay.
Yeah.
We're just never going to do that. Okay. And I know, that there's some people that disagree with that. Cool. You can disagree with that all you want, because you're not funding our operations. I'm not beholden to you. We're 100% privately funded. So we get to decide what this program looks like. And what it looks like is a house parents model where there are parents in this house, and we use biblical principles and a wraparound approach to fix, to the best of our ability, fix mental, physical, spiritual, educational, financial, all these facets of what a human being has going on, so we can break that cycle of behavior, put these kids back together again. And the last thing I'll say about this is what cemented that for me was we ran an operation one time, and it was rough. The extraction was rough, meaning that we were being pursued by bad guys. And we had gotten to one safe site, and that safe site got blown, and we got to a second safe site, and we're putting out security. Like, I'm out there, plate carrier, nods, rifle outside of this building, pulling security in case bad guys show up. And after about 12, 16 hours of, okay, confirmed, we're good here. And it's like your heart is just doing this for days, right? Like, this is real. We are in the suck. Okay. And all your convictions are being pressure tested. Like, should I really, this is crazy. Should we be doing this? And the answer is yes, we should. And so it finally dies down, and I'm standing outside, and I got my carrier on, I got my rifle, and these 3 kids. They're all like tweens, like early teenagers. And the 3 of them are sitting there, and the one of them asks me, says, "Hey, what do we have to do what you do?" I said, what do you mean? And they said, like, do we have to be cops? Do we firefighters, paramedics? Do we join the military? What do we have to do when we grow up to do what you do? And I'm like, as a young lady, I was like, oh, honey, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm doing right now. I don't know. Like, I don't know, but whatever it is, we'll figure that out. But why do you want to do this? There's a young man. He hadn't said a word since this extract happened. And he was sitting there, and he kind of looks up at me and he goes, because I've still got friends back there, and we need to go back and get them too.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to look over here at this tree and not let these kids see me openly weeping. Right. And the father hit me with this understanding in that moment. If we can put these kids back together, first of all, that's the true story of Messiah, overcoming by the blood of the Lamb and the word of the testimony.
Right.
And there is no one more qualified on planet Earth to help more kids than those kids, because they know it. They get
Absolutely.
it. They've been through it. And so, me, praise the Father, I have not had that experience in my life. It's not directly personal and relatable for me, but for them it is. And they know exactly what the beast looks like. They know all of that. And so the second generation advocacy potential that comes out of this is huge. And so that's what we're doing with Kaleb House. Is we have to do the restoration portion, because if we don't do the restoration portion, at some point, these poor kids that had something done to them against their will will end up with a pattern of behavior that doesn't serve them, which means we'll end up targeting them. And I just can't live with that. So we do what we do.
Awesome. All right. What's our target for this time? I called you. All right. The story.
That's it. Don't put a dollar amount on it.
All right.
I think the target is, you said the room holds 325 people, right?
Yeah.
That's the target.
That's
standing
the
room
target.
only.
Yeah.
That's what you said, was standing room only, and let the Father do what he does, and the Kaleb House auction is super cool, but it's not the only cool thing that's happening at this event. And I think that everybody who's within the sound of my voice right now, am I shamelessly plugging KentuckySustainableLiving.com? Yep, bet your ass I am. I think everybody who can should go, because it's that stepping out in faith and moving with a conviction in maybe a new direction that opens up doors for you and can change the trajectory of your life. And you can find good people to do life with and live a more meaningful life. Also, if you hear a velociraptor in the background, that's Eden Rose, who is screaming for fun. So I apologize.
It's fine.
That's real life.
Yeah, yes, it is real life.
But yeah, that's the thing. I'm really, really excited about the auction. It's something that is, Shelly and I are like, we want to do this, and it's awesome that we can do this and not, have any extra expense with doing a festival on top of it. I'm like, we need to do this every time. I mean, the last time we did it, it was Saturday night. We got done with it. Shelly, what was it? It was like $11,000 or something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that.
11,000.
Everybody was excited, and I called you, and it rang and rang, and I was like, well, crap. I was like, he doesn't want to talk to me. So then you called back a few minutes later, and you're like, sorry, I was doing a live. And I was like, that's no problem. And everybody was standing there. You were on speakerphone. Nobody had a dry eye in the place. Like,
I remember that.
Yeah, everybody just bawling like a bunch of babies, and I'm like, this is awesome. So I want to.
And that's what I love about our community is, when we have a cause like this, when we have something, and like you said, it sucks that we have to have a Kaleb House or whatever, but we're so grateful that we do have those things. But people, when they have a cause like that and they come together, like it amazes me.
Well, it should be proof to anyone within the sound of our voices that you can do, as just a normal person, you can do extraordinary things. Whatever extraordinary looks like for you, whatever calling you have on your life, you can, brother Bob across the table with Bob used to say to me all the time, he goes, "You know what I love about you, boss?" I said, "What's that?" He goes, "You just do stuff." Yeah, you can just do stuff. Like,
I love it.
so many people are just sitting around waiting for permission or approval to do
Yeah.
something when you can just do stuff. And that's part of having an awesome community is we are better than me. And we will always be better than me. I don't know everything. I don't have all the giftings and the skills. I'm just a dude.
Yeah.
But you get a room full of people, or a state or a country or a world full of people that are all pulling in the same direction, all working in unison, you get a lot of just massive amounts of stuff done, and for all the right reasons. And so, again, I encourage people to have a crew of people to do life with.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Shelly and I know nothing about the charity auction stuff. I mean, we've thrown it together, winging a prayer, and it's like, hey, this works. We're getting a little bit better at it each time. So I'm one of the people that's like, yeah, people ask me a lot of times, have you ever done a job like this before? First words out of my mouth are like, yeah, sure. We did like 2 of them last month.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing I've never done something like that, but I was like, I'll figure it out. We'll get it working. So knock on wood, and thank goodness it's never failed. We've always gotten it done. But yeah, it's just like, I'm not afraid to step out and do something that I've never done before.
Well, the other thing is, so many people have such a negative connotation with failure. We have a negative relationship with failure where we have assigned value judgments to it's public schooling is what it is. Did you get an A or did you get an F?
Right.
And all that emotion that comes along with that. And it's like, failure is actually the primary modality by which we learn.
Absolutely.
And so, I tell people all the time, the reason I know what to do is because I know 1,000 ways to not do it.
Yeah.
I failed Thomas Edison, I failed at making a light bulb 1,000 times, but now I got one that works. And so I think we need to separate some of the judgment out of failure. And we do this in our organizations. I'm okay with making mistakes as long as we don't make the same mistakes over and over again. We should be learning from those mistakes, and we need to get the mistakes out of the way as quickly as possible, because the longer you go, the more impactful those mistakes will become. It's just like your first 100 YouTube videos are going to suck. Well, then you should probably go ahead and make 100 of them like right now and get it out of the way, so that you don't have you don't build a giant channel and then you have a video that sucks. And so this experiential learning is how people work. And experiential learning is basically making mistakes so that you can pivot and then figure out the right way to do something. And, y'all have homesteads, farms. I have a homestead. How many times have you done it right the first time?
Not very many.
Same here. But now, because I've done it wrong enough times, I'm like, that's probably not going to work. Come here, son. Let me tell you a story. That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, been there.
Yeah, and it is that's very true. You learn more from your mistakes than what you get right the first time. I mean, the first part of fence that I put up on our homestead, it looks like hammered hell. But on the last one, it's like, hey, this thing's getting a lot better. I'm not going to do it professionally, but it looks a lot better than the first one.
Well, one of my favorite definitions of learning comes from an entrepreneur by the name of Alex Hormozy. And it's real simple. Same stimulus, different response. Okay. So if you just keep making the same mistakes over and over again, you're not learning. But if you have same stimulus, but a different response, you've learned that the previous response, however you did it, that didn't work, or that was less than ideal. There's room for improvement here. And so I love it because it's succinct. Learning is same stimulus, different response. And that's why part of your fence looks great and part of it doesn't. And that's my life in a nutshell. There's some areas where it's like, don't look over there. That's an example of how not to do it. Walk with me over here. This looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I would do it that way. So.
Oh, yeah. All right. We're coming up on an hour. Is there anything else we want to do?
The hokey pokey. Turn yourself about.
Or do we want to eat dinner?
I had dinner before I got on here with y'all.
Is that why you look bloated, Jason? Is that what it is?
You look a little swollen.
It's all the beef I ate last night.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
And we my mom came up, my mother-in-law came up, my brother and his girlfriend, we had Sunday dinner. We had grilled chicken and steak. And I was like, I just ate so much chicken and steak. I'm like, I told my wife at like 8:30, I was like, I'm getting ready to go to bed. She's like, I don't care.
You went to bed at 8:30?
Pretty close.
Dang.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I'll put a bow on it for you because let another man sing your praises, right? That's biblical. So I was asked by Jason and Shelley to come on their show this evening. And so we could talk about all the things we talked about. And I chose to live stream this conversation, not just on their channels, but also on my channel so that my audience would be aware of this conversation and be aware of this upcoming event, KentuckySustainableLiving.com. It's right there in the banner at the bottom of the screen, because I genuinely believe you will get way more value out of the event than the cost of the ticket. And I genuinely believe as the world continues to spiral down the drain, you're going to need skills and people. And this is an opportunity for you to invest in skills and people. Yep. And so you should go to this event. I know the world's weird. I'm going. I know the dollar's not worth what it used to be. I know. I'm going. Lots of other people are going. And so my goal for this broadcast is to make as many of y'all aware as possible of the opportunity to go to KentuckySustainableLiving.com, come to the event, because you will leave a better person than you came. And I know that because all the people who are involved in it are stellar people. And if you feel like you're stuck in a rut, you feel like you've maybe, there's like a tugging on your heart, and you're not really sure what it is, come. Just come. The tickets are $35. That is the most reasonable ticket price that there is. You can't go ice skating for $35. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You go to the bowling alley, you're going to spend more than $35 per person. Okay. And it's a multi-day event. The people are amazing. The quality of instruction is going to be awesome. And more people need to do this because many of us in November of 24 took our foot off the accelerator of preparedness because a certain person got elected. And the world did not stop spinning when that happened. In fact, I think it's spinning faster than ever before. We're probably going to get another Middle Eastern war out of this. Peace is off the table in Ukraine. China's accelerating. The economy continues to slide. The value of the US dollar continues to slide. We're deploying Marines to Los Angeles. Yeah. We have militarized our southern border. They're still spraying barium and aluminum. You guys, if you follow my channel, you are aware of all these things that are going on. And this is a tangible way, a real in-person human way to mitigate all of these risks, because you can develop or continue to develop skills and people for $35 freaking dollars. There's not a better value in the preparedness space than this. So go. Take the family, just go to the website, get your tickets, come to class, don't come to class. Either way, I'll high five you when I see you. Hey, it's Bear from the internet. Yep, that's me. And it's going to be a good time. And so I have no problem shamelessly shilling for someone else. And I'm happy to do it for y'all, because this is not ShamWow. Okay, this is not a gimmick. This is not Flex Seal. After a day on the lake, it still floats. No, this is like you can't buy a ShamWow and a Flex Seal for less than a ticket to Kentucky Sustainable Living. Okay, I saw the ShamWow guy at the New York State Fair 20 years ago, before he ever had an infomercial. That guy was such a salesman. I'm walking by his booth and I'm walking by and he goes, and he's got his little InSync headset on and he's got a table and he's just smashing over water bottles and picking up water and squeezing it out, just like totally coked out, and he goes, listen up, folks. My girlfriend left me. My dog died. My car broke down out in the parking lot. All I've got is the inventory that I've got. Normally it's $20 a piece, but I don't even care anymore. I've had enough. $10 a piece, 2 for $20. First 10 people got $20. You can have it. And I what do I need with a ShamWow? Before I know it, my hand's in my pocket. I got a $20 bill up in the air. I'm waving it, going, pick me, pick me, pick me. He doesn't even look at me. He just throws 2 ShamWows at me as I'm in the crowd. I catch him. I'm like, yes, I got it. Them freaking ShamWows sat on the shelf in my garage for a decade. Never came out of the packaging. They're just there. Okay. So instead of that, you could develop skills in people.
Right.
And that's a rare opportunity in 2025.
Yeah.
I promise you, Vince from ShamWow will not be there.
Exactly.
So.
No, you won't be.
So.
But there are tons of vendors. I think we've got 46 vendor booths there.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
that's awesome.
Yeah, Refuge will be there. So you're going to get everything from medical stuff to freeze-dried food to custom knives to just, I mean, anything and everything in the homesteading and preparedness space is pretty much going to be there.
And you're going to be amongst your people.
Yes.
And nobody's going to think you're weird when you bring up the chemtrails. Because you're going to be like, I know, I saw them too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me on.
We appreciate it a bunch. So, guys, we appreciate it. TJ, we appreciate you being on. Hey, TJ, you want to take us out with a prayer?
Yeah, we can totally do that. I'm gonna use some Hebrew words, but we're talking about the same guy.
Go for it, dude.
Okay. Oh man, Father Yahuwah, Father, thank you for good friends. Thank you for allowing us to wake up today. Thank you for continuing to just carry with us, even as broken people. We're trying to do our broken best to put a smile on your face. Thank you for making a way for us to come home again by the blood of Messiah and for relentlessly pursuing us, even as we have spent significant portions of our life trying to run away from you. Thank you that it is not possible to run far enough away from you that you stop loving us. Father, I pray that you would just minister to everybody within the sound of my voice, that whatever they're going through, whatever specific challenge they have right now, that you would come alongside them with that, and that you would not take it from them, but that you would steward them through it to build witness and testimony of just how truly good you are. Father, for everyone who is struggling with the dark stuff, the guilt and the pain and the shame and the hurt and the brokenness, Father, I pray that you just shine your light on that and begin the process of disinfecting that and restoring these beautiful souls so that they could come back to you. Father, everybody who is struggling with physical ailments, we know that you made the body and you were sovereign over it. So we just ask healing for everybody who needs it. And restoration, forgiveness, letting things go and turning things over and laying them at the foot of your throne so that we don't carry burdens that we are not built to carry. Burdens that break us as we stumble under the weight of them. Father, let us give those things to you, because we're not built to carry it, but you are. Father, thank you that amidst all the chaos and the darkness, that you are still sovereign, and that your word and word made flesh are still true, and that you continue inexplicably to bless us and smile upon us. Father, again, thank you for good friends, and thank you for the opportunity to be your hands and feet. And I ask these things in Yeshua's name. Amen.
Amen.
Guys, we appreciate every one of you here, and we will see you July 18th, 19th, and 20th. So we appreciate it, and we're going to be out for the night. Bye.
Bye.